kids were sort of looking at the screen, and then one said, well, we were going over the lab, let's keep going over the lab. And then when he reappeared, he was very pleased to see that they were still on task. So I'm not sure they would have made it 7 or 8 minutes, but they made it 6 minutes. The general feedback has been that it has gone well. We are, assessing obviously next steps if things continue and how long they continue, but the schedule we created worked, and we'll look for little adjustments during this week as we need to.
Okay, good. So, nice, and a lot of good friends there already. So let's introduce to each other. It's a good opportunity to get to know each other. And I'm seeing, let's start with the Cape Henry people.
Brooklyn Tapestry. I'll jump in. I'm Brooke Hummel, the assistant head of school and director of admissions at Cape Henry.
I'm
Okay.
Paul Horgan, I'm the head of the upper school.
Okay.
Angie Finlay, admissions.
All right.
David and Thompson
Good.
admissions.
So we have Abington friends.
Hi, I'm Mary Kay Napoli. I'm international admissions and upper school admissions at Abington Friends. We're in Jenkintown, PA, and we are actually technically on spring break right now. So the timing for us, we hadn't moved officially to any online learning, but we spent 3.5 days last week prepping for the online learning program that we're assuming we'll be implementing come March 30th. But our students were technically going on break anyway when this all really hit and snowballed.
Okay. So, Danny, Palmer Trinity.
Yeah, I'm Danny Reynolds from Palmer Trinity School in Miami, and I'm the associate head of school. And we're on spring break as well, but we already have a plan for online learning, and so they spent the first week with that. So it seemed like it was going pretty well. They just followed their classes, just like their planner, day to day, hour-long, 5 classes a day, hour-long.
Okay, good. And also, I may not know everyone. Chuck, you're from?
Ravenscroft School in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm the assistant director of admissions for middle and upper school. Margaret Mills had just joined us too. She is our director of enrollment management. We are doing our online learning. We started that last week. We've gone through, our teachers were trained. We had a full day of training for our teachers. Things are going smoothly so far for our students. For grades 5 through 12, we have a different plan for our lower school, but our upper school and middle school are doing full online learning, following the regular schedule every day. So they're logging in, getting information from their teachers for about 15, 20 minutes, and then having other assignments. And then they would log in for the next class when that comes along.
Good, nice. Hi, Margaret.
Hi,
Morning.
good to see you.
Good to see you. And then we have a Jenny from?
Hi, I'm from Peninsula Catholic High School in Newport News, and our director of admissions is Allison, who's also on.
Hi, Allison.
Hi.
Okay.
We've had a DLD platform at Peninsula Catholic since 2014, where the kids do online face-to-face live video instruction. So this was not as big of a jump for us as it was for some schools, so we're grateful for that. We've been doing it as long as everybody else has been doing it since the governor shut down the schools for the state of Virginia. So we are prepared to move forward with it, which he's going to speak today, so we'll find out what all that is going to be.
Thank you. Welcome. We have Lynn.
Yes.
Hi. Just briefly introduce.
Hi, I'm Ling She from Cape Henry Collegiate. I'm the CFO, and our admission team, as well as the head of the school, is online as well. And we also started online learning when the government order shut down, and everything's been pretty smooth with the online learning so far. So.
Good. Thank you. We have Andrew. Hi, Andrew Taylor.
Hi there, how are you guys?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good. My name is Angel Taylor. I'm the Director of Admissions at Wesleyan Christian Academy in High Point, North Carolina.
Nice to meet you. we have, is that Bill? Sorry. Okay. Anyone else I missed?
Diane?
Hi, Diane.
Hi, I'm Diane Dismer from Lancaster County Christian School. Apparently my video's not on. I'm the Director of Admissions in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Nice to meet you again.
Nice to meet you all, thank you.
Okay, good. Anyone else? Seems we have everyone here. Okay, thank you so much for Monday morning. Hopefully, more likely it's the first meeting. I'm so lucky to have it. And I know everyone, I think in people's mind right now, number one thing wake up is this coronavirus. But looks like everyone, school is doing well and coping with this new style of learning and new way of running school, and same thing happening with TBI New Oasis. We're here, trying to transform into the new style of working and to support our students, host family, and the schools. So today I want to, purpose of having everyone here, I really want to give everyone a briefing and also as a partner to share from our perspective and what we have learned about, from students and actual parents, and so that make sure to give you as much as possible information reflected. So for any information you make, so that you can make a more informed decision of any decision. So let's start with, let me share Spring. So today, let's go through this PowerPoint I have here. Hold on just a second. Okay. Hold on, I'm trying to. Alright, good. So today, I would like to cover 4 topics. First, a quick review of think about the situation in the U.S., what happened for the past few weeks, and second, I want to talk about what have we been doing at TBI. For your information, and also what we have learned, thoughts of the international parents, what for them to make this decision, what they are evaluating on. And also what we have learned about thoughts of the partner school. Of course, you're very welcome to share what you think. So this is what happened for the last few weeks, and as you are seeing for the last week, a lot happened. And right now, matter of fact, we have more than, this is yesterday's data, we have more for today. And 32,000 and already 34,000 and over 400 deaths for the last 1 week. So you can see here, 2 weeks ago, it's about 577. And then 1 week ago, just 1 week ago, it's 3,600. And now, yesterday, we have 32,000. So it's like 10 times, almost 10 times a week ago. And this is really, I talked to people before, because I really track the daily what happened in China since end of January. This, at the peak time for the first few weeks, it's like you just times 10 for the next week. You won't get, or times 5 to 10, you won't get wrong. So that's what is happening here. So I'm sure, I think this is how I feel at TBI. And every day we have a meeting, every day we're trying to figure out what's the best plan. But we feel we're always behind. And because this thing changed drastically. And so that's how it happened. I can imagine every one of you, work with your school administrative team, must have a lot of meetings and have had a lot of meetings, and we're all it's a huge challenge for every one of us. So what have we been doing in particularly? There, I mean, among many things, and particularly about what we have been doing to handle this crisis. And first, we for students, as they are school closed and they move to online learning, and so we're first thing we want to make sure every student being kind of how to about sanitization and also about setting new structure for their life, and then so we organized the online chat groups. We're not able to see our student now, so we go online too. We organize online chat group with hundreds of students joined. So there we have been doing a lot of things. For example, even morning calls. We have students singing, and we have an online talent show. We have, working with students to help them set up structure on the bedtime. So it's very funny, and you can see, it's really, you see the other side of the students, their life, but I think this way help us to provide better guidance to our students, and also help us to learn what they're thinking, what they're concerned about. But you're seeing a lot of students really being so mature, and even help take care of other students when other students become panic. So yeah, that's very interesting. And also we also delivered weeks ago. We delivered a wellness package to our students, including some sanitization stuff, and like also vitamin C. So, and also our local team and headquarter team continue to provide support in case there's any question on issues and for students. So that's for what we have been doing for students. And our first parents, we did the same thing, which is very helpful. And frankly speaking, we have IT platform connecting to the parents, but this time I think it never been before, and this time they become so active. And also we organize online WeChat group with hundreds of national parents joined. And every day we have a team of people in that WeChat group answering all kinds of questions, and also really help learn what they're thinking, concerned about. You can see the mood and the questions change daily, especially for the last few days, which is definitely we feel the heat. From the parents. Their concerns, worries because of the number, you're seeing the number change like every day,
Sean?
Yes.
Your slides are not advancing.
Which slide you're seeing here?
The table of contents is still up.
Really? How about now?
Same.
Same? Okay, hold on just a second.
I don't think you have the right screen selected that you're sharing.
That's better.
How about this one?
Now, slide.
Okay, it seems the slideshow is not. Okay, sorry. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, so the parents, they talk about the online WeChat group, and also at the beginning, the reason we talk about, for us to deal with this crisis, we want to make sure we constantly share the transparent information with all the parents. It's about information and first-hand information and transparent sharing. So and then we started a daily update to the parents, because we realized parents got all kinds of rumors. I have to tell you, on the internet, on the WeChat, there's so many rumors, and parents got distracted, and they don't know what to believe. And we said, okay, 2 weeks ago, we said, okay, let's have a daily update. And through our IT platform, we have eGrowth connecting to all the parents. So we share that information daily. And more than that, we created a video channel. We have a staff that's a news reporter, and they're reporting news every day through the video channel. And so that's really been helpful, because we're sharing what the CDC here what they're releasing, and also the effort from federal, state government, and so I think the parents started now, track our news, track what we're sharing, so which is great. And also we have this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week service hotline, and getting, their parents really have urgent need in calling us. So, and of course, we have FE team in China, constantly really connected with parents, phone calls, WeChat. And that's what we have been doing for parents. And for host family, same thing. I think everyone experiencing hosting a child, already it's a big challenge now with this pandemic. So as you can imagine, we're trying to reach out to our host family via email, phone calls, and trying to understand their concern. Frankly speaking, we have, especially some of the people from our team. We have a team in China, also we have been tracking what happened in China. So we are able to share some information to I think this pandemic will, pass. It's just when we're in the middle of it, during the first few weeks, it's very kind of somehow devastating, and I'm sure for people in New York. But that's why we're trying to calm people down, but in the meanwhile to share some knowledge about how to deal with it. And also we started online workshops, and we also recorded videos for our host families to share our encouragement and guidance. And plus we have a base team, the local team support to our host families. So that's we have been doing particular for COVID-19. And for schools, I think what we're trying to do, especially keep communicating with the schools on how the school policies, and as you can imagine, things change daily. We're seeing schools, even the same school have, we have to adapt. Same thing for TBI and Oasis. We're like I said, we feel we're always behind the situation, the development of the situation, and so the decision being made in 2 days, 3 days become obsolete. I can imagine that schools, and a lot of schools have a different policy dealing with this pandemic. And in general, there are 4 types of policies. First, we are learning from schools nationwide, and they're too extreme, kind of very strict policies, and there are policies in between. For example, there are agencies, not just school. There are agencies on telling students you must leave within 5 days, otherwise we have no relationship. We cut off relationship. After 5 days, we must go back to your country as soon as possible. After that, we're not responsible for it. And definitely cause some panic. There are students, they don't want to leave. And also there are regions, areas not that serious yet. So, and also there are schools telling the student, you must stay. Once you leave the country, we cancel your I-20. And there's one school from Connecticut, and the school letter being shared across social medias. And because people take it like school forcing students to stay, even they have an online program. And also we have schools in between. There are schools telling the students you can take online program. And the one concern from the students is, okay, what if the school reopen? Because 1 week ago, we all think school may reopen sometimes in April. But now, I'm not sure how many people we still think school will reopen in April. So I think that's, the parents concerned about, okay, we can take online program, and also even see this, clear the restriction of 5 months rule, right? So if the student taking online program offered by the school, they can, their status can stay active, even they go beyond 5 months, staying online, remote learning. So I think that's from CA side, that restriction being cleared. But I think the parents concerned, if the school reopen, can we still stay in their country, for example, in China, and then continue the online learning, regardless, because for them to come back is not easy, and of course we know there are 2-week quarantine time at least, and then travel. So I'm not sure about travel policy at the time, and so. But anyway, I think there are school already telling the student, don't worry about coming back. This whole school year, you can study through online, and even school reopen, you can continue. And we understand the challenges and for coming back for the rest of the school year, and then feel we were trying to do everything to support. We understand the difficulties. So that's one type of school. Another type of school, a week ago, the policy was, okay, so there's online learning, can go back to your country or stay in the U.S. and to do the online learning, but if school reopen, you must come back. Otherwise, your I-20 status will be in jeopardy. So I think that there, like I said, different schools have a different strategy according to their understanding and prediction. Nobody can predict this, guarantee, always predicts this well. So, every school has their perspective, right? So that's what happened, in what we have learned from communicating with the schools on school policy. And also we try to share information with the school. We have collected that, like what we're doing right now. And I do want to share with you what parents are thinking. And we help communicate and explain school policy. I think as a partner, and we definitely, it's our responsibility, whatever decision made by the schools, and we need to communicate and explain school policy to connect parents to get their understanding, support, and at least they understand from what perspective we make decisions. Okay, so that's about what we have been doing. Next is the thoughts of international parents. There are 3 things they're thinking about on top of their mind. And number 1, of course, student safety. And from their perspective, right now, they think the home country, and for China, it's just safer for now. It is truly what happened there is right now there are a lot of cities other than Wuhan already, gradually going back to the normal life. And restaurants started to open, shopping malls started to open, and people going back to work. And not fully, but across in China, it is gradually going back to normal life. But Wuhan not yet. So that's what they think. China is safer now. And but in the meanwhile, talking about international travel, they are also concerned about high risk of contracting virus during travel. So as we know, and it takes their students going back to 50 hours transit at different country, eventually get to China. So that's about the safety side. And then they cared about academic study for the rest of the school year. Some parents worry about Google Classroom, or a platform like that couldn't be accessed in China. So even school offered online program, what if they couldn't access any alternative plan for the students? So that's what they're concerned about. And I think a lot of schools now trying to offer some, like yesterday we have school talk about asynchronized learning, teaching. And so trying to offer us alternative solutions to students, really want to be open so that they can support students well through the end of the school year. Hello?
Hi, just a quick question for you. Do we know if Classroom does or doesn't work in China? I've had some students tell me that they can get an app while they're in America for the Google Classroom, and then they can access the information in China. But I've had other people tell me that it's blocked and they don't have access. Do we know whether or not they would be able to use Google Classroom?
So in general, whole Google platform, couldn't be accessible in China. And they use VPN, but frequently some VPN can be blocked. So I would say Google Classroom, it's not reliable. Even some people can access through the app. So that's a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And then theoretically, like I said, parents can, not sure how to handle that if the school reopen. Are they going to send student back and for the quarantine time and everything? And so I think they're looking for the flexibility from school, if possible, to allow them continue to finish the school year. And even if the school reopen sometimes in April or May. So next is an active I-20, which is a week ago and 2 weeks ago, parents thinking about, because the following the CVIS rule, and their I-20 will be terminated after 5 months and before coming back in August. So then CVIS actually cleared that restriction on March 13th, and they sent out new guidance for this 5 months rule pay. And also the senior students, especially. I have to tell you, we divided our student WeChat group into 3 groups, and 7th, 9th, and 10th, 11th, and the seniors. And the seniors are most just last 2 days. It's like not that crazy, but almost like online rioting. So they're so anxious, they don't know why they have to stay here, and with all the fears and everything, so they want to go back, and because they their mind is their last 2 months in high school, they cannot wait for college. But I know a lot of students even got accepted by colleges, and they got letters from universities. They telling them next year there are 2 options. A lot of international students back in China, also the students here, saying you have 2 options. One, online program, and second is the other is the deferred enrollment. And so, which means for new students, you can either take online program or you postpone your enrollment to spring 2021. So that's the for what we have been learning from for parents about their concern for academic study for the rest of the school year. And then they another thing they worry about, think about is for the next school year, not just for the current school year. Coming back, I think I had questions from schools about what's their plan for the next year. Parents' plan for next year. I think coming back to their school is the first choice, other than finding a school in China for the next year. It's really hard for Chinese students going back to China and merge back to the system, education there. And as much as they can, if for coming back, they will do it. And so, but in the meanwhile, they are concerned. They have concern about later in August, what internationally, what will their travel policy be, and hopefully a travel ban will be removed by the time, and also knowing what universities are offering to their new students and the returning students online program, because visa can be an issue, but for majority of our students, they have a 5-year visa. So as long as their I-20 stay active, they can just, by the time of August, they can just hop on an airplane and come back, no problem. Very few students, and for all the new students, here's the problem. I mean, if you're returning student, they have their visa. We know a few students across. I mean, that's very low percentage, not even 1%, and maybe around 1%. Their students, their visa will expire this year, so they must get a new visa, apply for a new visa, and also, of course, all the new students need to apply for new visa. But now, the visa, there are multiple processing centers in China, right? And the embassy in Beijing and also consulate in several other cities. But in Beijing, the visa application visa appointment already backlogged to November. So as you can imagine, for our new students, and basically, if the embassy wouldn't expand their capacity of processing, and student couldn't get a visa to come, and so how? And for a returning student, most of them they come. But what if this is the worst of worst? If still situation, our school couldn't open in August. I'm sure you're thinking about this too. What would be offered, right? Maybe to continue the online program. So that's what they're all the parents are thinking about, any alternative plan for the next year in case worst of the worst. Okay, so the last slides I want to share what we learned from our partner schools, right? Our partner schools are, also put students' safety on top of their mind, and we're a week ago, even we're talking to everyone, we're thinking, okay, it's better for students to stay put and stay where they are, stay with host family, and get online learning, because that's least disruptive, we think. And also comparing with going back to China and taking the risk of contracting virus during the travel. So that's a week ago, but now, and things changed, and we also feel we're in the center of the virus now, the pandemic. So, but anyway, that's what schools are thinking, and then for academic study, I think a lot of concerns like about online program, accessibility to online program in China. And a lot of schools use Google Classroom. And about what about time difference and the network quality affecting the active participation for some classes require more interactive participation, and quality of the education may be compromised if they go back to their country and the learning from there, and also theoretically, and we still have schools think, because theoretically school may open anytime. I mean, we suddenly this week figure out a very effective treatment, right? Medicine or vaccine, whatever, but the vaccine takes time. There is a whole process. So if school reopen in April or May, so I think how could students come back? I mean, those are the concerns that school have, and so many schools the week ago the decision is better to guide a student to stay. So that's the best strategy. So and I-20, like as we discussed, it already been cleared, and that concern been cleared. So where CBIS, at least the CBIS policy is more open now. For next year, enrollment. I think it's hard for school. I'm sure for domestic and international, and same challenge. I mean, how we predict our enrollment for the school, and will the student able to come back without visa concern or travel policy, and how we handle the quarantine, and how student return, and also host families' willingness of hosting students. So I think that's everything school thinking about, and from what we have learned. This is what I want to share so far with everyone about the what we have been doing, and also the what we have learned about what the parents' thoughts and the school's thoughts. And of course, you're the best people sharing what you're thinking for your school. And I think right now the reason I'm calling for this meeting, and I think a week ago we're like many schools thinking keeping the student here will be the best among all the solutions. But for the last week, I think with the number is like skyrocketing, and every day change drastically. So we really feel eventually, and for the decision to be made, and for from parent side, from school side, I really want to share what all the information we have learned, and then so that each side can, both the students and also the school can make more informed decision. And at least from school parent side, and one information I want to share for students going back to China, we heard by April 1st, China is going to have much tighter control, if not just close down their, the air travel, and they probably will shut down the incoming flights from other countries. So which means the time window for Chinese students going back to China will be this week. Even we have a flexible policy, that will be this week. So I think that one, for a lot of parents asking about our school policy, what's the risk? Can their students just stay in China to finish the school year through online program, not to worry about, okay, school may reopen, whatever. So that's, this is how I feel. I mean, they only have 1 week time window. And not even every student, because think about students going back to China to have a flight ticket. It's really hard to get a flight ticket, very expensive. And so I think with everything, as a family, they're trying to evaluate. This is what I'm thinking, that I hope, the school policy in terms of the concern of whether they need to come back when school reopen, and whether there's alternative solution if the Google platform couldn't be accessed in China. And I hope the school policy will become a less hurdle for their decision-making process, and so that they don't have to, among many things they have to juggle, and they don't have to worry about, okay, so I may need to come back by the end of April because school may reopen. So I think that's what I'm hoping for, but I definitely respect the school's decision policy, and that's why I want to get together to really hear from you what you think. Okay, let's start the discussion. Thank you so much for listening.
Sean, just so I'm clear, you're recommending that schools sort of make it a little bit more open-ended, that so families feel like they want for their children to be able to return home at this time, that you're asking for flexibility on the part of schools from a grade and attendance, all of that perspective. Is that correct?
I think that this is the thing. I think one core question for now, I think a lot of schools, they offer, almost every school offer online program. And also we can offer some solutions. I will send later today. Yesterday we figured out solution. If the Google Classroom cannot work, well, that takes the school's side support as well. And if it cannot work, the school can upload their online class video, recorded video, and then we can help distribute. We figure out a platform we can, kind of more delayed the online class. Okay, this the school record a video, and then we can share through online platform we use in China, and make it a more structured learning. We can even say, okay, right now from 8 to 9, this is class. We open up the video, students start to take the class. So we can make it more structured learning in China. So that can be the support we can provide. So to ensure the asynchronous learning, even possible for students. But I think one thing is, what I'm asking is to see if the school can be flexible. And the core question is, because still, I think for parents' mind, they're thinking about what if school reopen. Because, if the school reopen, can students still stay in China learning online? So that's a core question.
And Sean, one of the other questions I had, I know we've talked about Google Classroom, but what about Zoom? Is that platform accessible
Yes.
to students in China?
Yes. Yeah. We're using that with our team in China every day. Yeah.
Okay, and then for schools who have, whether it be Blackbaud or some other type of school-based platform where kids are accessing their grades or teacher interaction, I don't know if it's universal that it is or is not accessible.
Blackboard is.
So Blackbaud, like the Whipple Hill-based product. So, like I imagine, I don't know, based on.
Okay, so I think we do to help to verify. I think that's the thing. We would like to collect that information and then really try to access in China. And we don't need a password and username password. We just want to open up and see even we can help. Yeah.
Well, and I would assume, all of our natural parents likely at most of our schools have that, whether or not they use it because of the need to translate. So I'm looking at people if they're nodding or not. And so if they have that, they would hopefully be able to answer that question if students are able to log in from home. And many of our upper school, upperclassmen may also be able to answer that because when they've been home over the summer, if they have utilized that in order to communicate, whether it be with college counseling or, scheduling or things like that when they've been home in the summers in the past, or even on winter breaks.
I haven't heard any question and problems, and also we have our staff in China. In terms of for school authorized us to check on the grades, and we were able to access. So for that part should not be a problem.
I have we put together a list of resources after a meeting with some of our international students too, of things that they said they have access to or they could have access to, and I'd be happy to share that, Sean, with you, and then maybe you could verify that information is true, and then that could be shared out with everyone as well.
Yeah, so very good, thank you, Mary Kay. One thing, I had a meeting with team in China, what we can help, really facilitate this online learning, help students set structure, even administrate, check on, whether how they participate, even the homework. There are things we can definitely assist.
John, as you sort of mentioned, the question marks around timetables and specifically with seniors, I know that personally there'd be a lot of flexibility with seniors, especially if we get close to May 1. The kids are going to be starting AP exams at that point, in theory, anyways. So, I just to give the parents comfort, I do think from my end, there's flexibility around that. The when all this happens, if we were back in 2 weeks, that's different than if we were back in 6 weeks, which is different than if we aren't back until August. But in terms of your question, I thought I heard you asking about flexibility in terms of kids being able to, and for us, the Zoom and Whipple Hill would probably be enough for them to continue the remote learning program at home. So for us, that would work. But I do envision that we would have some flexibility, because I can imagine that parents are eager to get them home in some cases. And if April 1's going to be a sort of a deadline for that travel-wise, and that's something we need to talk about.
Yeah, I think right now, what I learned in China, they were pretty open at the beginning, but now their number already across board cut down to zero. Most of the provinces, and I mean 0 new infections, and for some places over 2 weeks, 3 weeks, no more new cases. But just because of the travelers, international traveler going to China for the last 2 weeks, they're finding they have new infections, and not just the incoming travelers, but also being passed to other people. So that's their concern about, and they worry about it's going to spread again. So that's why they're making that decision to shut down the air, probably by April 1st. Yeah.
Sean, what is a realistic timeline as far as to be able for schools to communicate to you an extended closing plan that would allow for kids, if determined that it was an option, to purchase a ticket and get home? I mean, we're saying April 1, the area.
Yeah. Ideally today. I mean, even school. I mean, our domestic student may come back, let's say, May 1st, right? And what's your policy for international student? Would you allow them to continue to stay in China? Because even they come back, there will be 2 week at least quarantine time.
Do you know if there are questions or concerns on the part of students or natural parents about access to AP exams? If kids are not here,
Yeah, according to the new AP exam policy, I mean, they sent out, because my older one is going to have 4 APs, and he said it's going to be at home. So I don't know how it works, but 45 minutes and
Right.
very shortened, and yeah.
And it stops as of March is what they're proposing right now, the College Board. So the AP exams are going to be able to be taken on any device, and if they're going to redesign the test based on the learning that stopped in March.
So yeah.
But I'm sorry, accessibility though, would it be accessible to them? Not just device wise, but would they have access to being able to take that if they're home in China versus here? I know they had made revisions, but I wasn't sure if that was answered to them.
I mean, the College Board, the website, those things not being blocked unless College Board uses Google. I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. Let me find out. Yeah.
I can ask Liz Stello to check too. I do believe that, if they're going to offer here online 45-minute exams, that's going to be a worldwide offering, I'm sure. I would be shocked to hear otherwise.
As far as our school goes, certainly we'll, I had some brief communications yesterday with our head of school and the head of our upper school. We can certainly look into our ability for flexibility. We are a Google platform school, and we are conducting those classes via that manner. So I don't know, maybe we could go to Zoom. The time change, we are taking attendance daily, for example, things like that. So we can certainly look into our ability to be more flexible. We have not heard from our current students that they want to return home, but certainly we recognize that might change.
Right, especially I think that for last 2 days. I was, one Tuesday or Wednesday, my wife talked about, it looks like by weekend we're going to have like 10,000. I said, no, tomorrow. And then it is. Wednesday we have 10,000, and then Thursday, Friday, and it's just like everything. Now we have over 30 some. So that's only for the last 2-3 days. The heat really piling up, and in about student going back home. But one thing I also want to let you know, not every student. I mean, I would say 50-50 maybe, and the amount even 50%, how many can really get a flight ticket eventually going back? And that's another question. So yeah. So I think that's why I say, if we from the school end can have the more flexible policy, number one, I mean, very unlikely. Theoretically, yes, we may reopen sometime, but now becoming very, increasingly unlikely. We will reopen this year, even this school year. I mean, a lot of the public school districts, and already they're thinking about this year is gone. I mean, all the learning moved to online. So that's one thing, and so that's why. Of course, I respect the school's decision. Every decision trying to support and communicate back to the parents. But in the meanwhile, I really truly hope when the parents think about all the difficulties about going back or not, and they don't have to think about there's a school policy and like a roadblocker for them. They have to a hurdle they have to think about. So I think that would be nice. And the one thing they definitely would appreciate is understanding and support from the school. And I know, and students talk about there are schools being flexible. They said, okay, I want to transfer to that school. So I mean, of course, that's a crazy idea, but their students are they're because they're in panic. They can think there are all kinds of stuff flying around there. So I think that, they definitely would appreciate the school. They think school really truly understand as an international student, how hard it is. And I mean, the parents, even some parents said, no matter what happened, we want to be together to go through this crisis. And so I think that understanding and support from the school will be much appreciated.
Sean, I think if I could just butt in for a second, the most helpful thing for me and probably most of us would be if we knew what communication channels were open between the United States and China. If I knew exactly some of the things that would work, or how you could maybe be the mediator in between those two, and we could really work to find a solution for the kids who want or need to go back. Without that, I feel a little bit lost. I just don't know what will work and what won't. But I think all of us have the resources to be able to do that if we just have that list or that. That if I had that, I could definitely work. I'm mostly concerned right now with the seniors, which I think would be the most flexible. But I want those students to come back next year, so I really need to get with them through as much of the curriculum as we can. So that would just be my only suggestion.
Okay, very good. I mean, yesterday we have two group of schools, and we collected shared the same feedback. And today, already last night, I worked with the China team, discuss about solution, what we can do to support the schools. And today we will send out email to all the schools with the proposed solution. There are solutions, and definitely don't worry about that. And there are communication channels, different platforms we can use. But I mean, truthfully, I think if there's no perfect solution when we talk about compromise for certain part of education, it may happen. But but right now it's a crisis where we cannot expect everything can be still perfect when we go online. Still, that takes a transition. But as much as we can, for example, we can ensure there's their platform, offering open communication channel, and also even from our side. And like I said, we're transforming the way of providing our service support, so we can even help the school to really help set a better structure for students for their online learning. And so those are things we can definitely support. We will send out our proposal I have other team working on it in this today to share with everyone what we would propose. Okay.
Sean, I think there's a question in your chat.
Yes. Okay. Let me stop this first. All right. Okay. From Mr. Curley. Okay, for students who don't go back, I mean, we have the team here, our base team here. From our end, we will continue to support those students. And also we're communicating with the parents, in case their children wouldn't go back, and how we support, how we work with them together. So, Ms. Curley, did I answer the question?
I'm not really concerned with them for the rest of the year. I'm mainly concerned when you said that the borders of China are closing. What are they going to do in the summer? That's what my concern is. And mainly for the host homes. As the host homes, I know it's hard on everyone, but it's really hard on the host families that are having to, this is not, having them in their home all the time doing online learning is not really what they thought they were signing up to do. And again, I know it's hard on everyone, but I'm just concerned on the host family end what this is going to mean for them.
Yeah, for the summer, I think we have, we do have a summer, planned for the summers, and even for host family, there are host family, they're very open, and their host family, they are definitely share concern. It's the first time, for all of us, this is probably once a lifetime, hopefully, only once a lifetime. And but here we do have a backup, we can offer some backup plans in terms of some host family, they feel this is too much, and so I think we can help on that.
Sean, can you just touch a little bit on what some of those summer offerings look like for kids if they choose to stay, or has that already been communicated to them and to the natural parents?
Yeah, we're still thinking about working with the schools. There are schools offering summer program, and how we can work with the schools and together on the summer program. And also there are some local resources in offering summer program. So I think, but that's all under the assumption the students will, this pandemic will be almost gone by the time. Yeah.
Are there university options and things that have been explored for the summer as far as online programs or things like that? That I know many of our kids typically in the summer times have done those type of programs, whether it be Northeast or.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for summer schools for from university, they are, they're right now they put it on hold because not sure they can really reopen by the time. So that's why for summer schools, and a lot of our students apply for it, but we're more seeking for the local solutions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got to jump off, Sean, and hop on another Zoom call.
Okay.
But there are other members of the crew who may be able to stay on in. But thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay.
We'll be in touch today.
Okay, sure. Thank you. And next question from Mary Kay, wouldn't they be expected to follow the same policy as domestic students?
That was just me answering the chat, sorry.
Okay.
I misunderstood her question, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then C is allowing work from home online as well. Home means host homes. So from Beth, and what's your thoughts about this?
Sorry, I was just trying to help answer.
Okay, yeah. All right, so.
I think we just had that little chat on the side, and then it really landed to the question was of the summer, what was going to happen in the summer.
Okay, good. So, any,
Can I ask another clarifying question? I'm sorry. I guess I'm just kind of stuck on what you said about the borders of China being closed April 1st. That is alarming to me. Like, so are students our families having to say, you're coming home this week, or we don't know when you're ever going to be able to come home? I mean, that's just a little, I guess that's concerning to me. You might not know, but that's a huge decision. I'm thinking if that's my child, it's like this week, or I don't know when.
I think here's the thing. Again, I'm not. This is not official announcement. But from what we're learning, there's definitely a lot more restrictions. But I don't think China will completely, isolate itself, and there will be very restricted policy on this. But doesn't mean if even young students, right? We're talking about high school, middle school students studying abroad, and they will treat them more differently because they're not adults. Yeah, even I know from China side, the consulate and told the parents, they can register. I mean, in case, they didn't say whether they're going to send airplane to ship all the younger age students back to China, but they're asking the parents come to register. If you have a child studying in American middle school, high school, you can register just so that you can get notice. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, like we talk about, we really hope. Thank you so much for participating. We really hope if you can go back to work with your team. If there is a new update to the policy, and if you'd like to share with us sometime today, we would really appreciate. But if you have any further questions, feel free to contact our team and whoever. We have a local base director. We also have a partnership director. Please reach out to individual on the GEC, whoever, to let us know your question. And so, if anything we can help to solve it and support, we're more than happy to do so.
Sean, I've got a quick question. If we have not heard an interest expressed by our students or their parents, in the case of our school, in leaving, do you recommend we email them today and ask them if they're planning on leaving? Because I can ask, hypothetical questions of our upper school and how they can accommodate it, but the first question they're going to ask is, well, if the students are planning to leave within a week, we probably would know that. So they're going to probably think in terms of, is this hypothetical? Is this really going to happen? Because the timing makes a difference too.
Yes.
Recommend that we go back and ask our students. You haven't said anything about this, but are you planning on leaving in the next week?
Mm-hmm. You can ask the students, or if you can. Two ways. One, it take a longer time. We can survey the students, right? Every student, ensure we collect their, opinion or plan, or we can make the plan, we make the policy more flexible, so see how they react. I think there's two different approaches. Yeah.
In the case of our teachers, some of the questions that I've made a note of that we would be asking them to do is changing the way they're conducting their classes to a different format. So
That's true.
I may not get a full answer as to what they can or can't do, given that I would ask them today, need an answer today about a situation we may or may not face. Our teachers we've only had 1 week of virtual classes behind us, went well, but it's a stressful situation for faculty to switch gears like this. So we'll do our best to get you a full answer. But I just wanted to ask that since.
I understand. Yeah, Yeah, Margaret, I truly understand that. I mean, there are many, many things the school are evaluating. Like you said, there are, majority, 95% or 98% of domestic students, the structure are already set up in the platform, everything, the teaching, online teaching already. It's the first time for every school to have this large scale online teaching experience. And, many challenges facing with all the students, not just the 5%, 2%, 10% Chinese international students. So I think definitely it's not a light decision for anything to trying to accommodate. I truly understand. That's why I said it's more like I'm trying to share the information and share the parents' concern, and also from parents' end, their biggest concern, and also we all understand why they're pushing. But in the meanwhile, the school needs to balance all kind of things and make your more informed decision. And so, from our end, we're trying to support. Of course, if you ask my true opinion, or I do hope the school policy can be flexible. But when I say this, I'm not from like school perspective, right? Facing those hard decisions, and so that's my what I can share with everyone.
I would like to add, we have TBI New Oasis, we have a student who went home for Chinese New Year and has not been able to return yet, and he can't access any of our work online through the platforms, but the TBI New Oasis academic coordinator has been amazing. I send everything in an email to her, scan things in from our teachers, and then she somehow gets it to the student. He takes a picture and sends it all back, and we've been doing it, even though we use platforms that he can't access. He's been able to get his work and submit it through the academic coordinator who has done all that kind of work for us. So our teachers haven't had to do much different. They just have to keep posting things where they do, and then I share it with them. So it's not ideal, but it does work.
And Margaret, last night, several schools, just like Ravenscroft, they're on Google, using the Google platform. And they did ask a question, since their teachers are recording their lessons. They asked if it is converted, either saved in or converted to MP4 file format. Then once Sean has teams actually looking at what the various technology choices are, if at least those classes are recorded, it's not always obviously them attending them live, which is the hope for a lot of schools for them to interact. But it is a solution. So they are able to access a video or recorded class in the MP4 file format. Is that correct, Sean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that helps as you are talking with your teachers, no matter what platform you're using, if they're recording it and then you're willing to allow that lesson then to be actually submitted to them, maybe through a different type of format.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
I also wanted to address everybody. I heard the concern about summer stay, but I also want everybody to understand that we have been polling all of our host families and ensuring that they feel supported through all of this. And even if the current family of a student can't host, we have backup families who are willing to host the students. So we have addressed that. We've polled all of our families. We have a list of all of the families willing to host for the summer, and we have plenty of families that would be there and available if a student does choose to stay. So I want to make sure you do understand that we have addressed that with everybody, and we just last week sent out a survey to all of the families to find out, what other concerns they have that we can help them with. And so we're working through all of that. If you hear specific concerns, please reach out to your program coordinator or base director so that we can talk to those specific families, but we are here to help them through all of this.
Thank you, Tammy.
And can I also just point out one thing that we were playing with, just because we're talking a lot about social distancing is very important, but social isolation is also a real concern, which is one of the big things about why we want the students, whether they're here, whether they're in China, to be able to connect. And this is not a situation or experience that any of us have ever had before or ever wanted to have. So the traditional school day and traditional classroom is sort of out the window. And what we're doing, and again, we have 1 week because we're on break right now, but next week, one of the meeting times with our students online is actually going to be, instead of 8 o'clock in the morning, at 8 o'clock at night here, so that the students that are in China have the opportunity through Zoom to participate. And that's a test that we're going to do to see if it works, but it came from all of us together as a school community thinking that there needed to be a time where we could work together with this and try something different. So we hope it works out, but it's our way of not just recording and sharing, but allowing the students to interact with each other.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of funny things happening online. It's an online coffee time. So many things you can do. Nice. Okay. If any question, if no more, I really want to thank you everyone for your participation. I truly appreciate for the time we come together. It's a very difficult time to come together, and thank you so much and for the support. And you can expect anything you want from us, from TBI New Oasis. Feel free to let us know. We will try as much. This is challenging time. We'll try our best to support everyone. Okay.
John, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
I've been thinking about you trying to manage all of this, and like all of us, we're all trying to figure it out as we go the best we can. But you're certainly dealing with a different situation than even all of us are, and trying to thinking globally. You're certainly living it. So I appreciate your work.
Thank you for understanding and support. Appreciate that. So I hope everyone and you and your family stay healthy through this crisis, and look forward to seeing you again in the future. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.